Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're taking a look at Ramp Dragon. Ramp Dragon got some nice tools added to its collection as far as cards go, which is quite nice. We have Ivory Dragon being added, which is really cool. Overflow, draw a card, and a rush. Then we have the Hineka and Jafara, Firestorm Duo. This card's pretty nice with Enhanced 5 Evolve this follower. Last word, if this follower is evolved, deal 4 damage to a random enemy follower. Comes in handy more often than you would think, especially in Ramp Dragon. It's really all you have for early game other than White Frost Blossom, which gives you the White Frost Whisper, which destroys all damaged enemy followers and increases the cost of all cards in your opponent's hand by 1, depending on which mode you choose. Very nice card. Works pretty well. It also has Evo, deal 1 all, so you can actually combo it with itself, which is really nice. Otherwise, the Orca's got added, which is really cool. Call of Megal Orca does draw itself in Overflow, along with summoning an Orca, and Neptune allows us to gain a value off the Orcas by giving us her crest, and her crest allows us to recover 1 whenever we play an Orca, so really nice. Whenever an Orca comes into play, we get +1 health. Really nice card. Odin obviously coming in clutch. Odin's just a really nice storm card with a banish effect, which you can't really go wrong with. And then we're running a double Phoenix to have all the cards in our deck. Really nice as well, and does a really good job of cutting some of the cost of these cards. This deck overall could probably do with a little more top end, honestly. Maybe I would consider cutting some of the more middling cards. Maybe I'd probably drop Firestorm Duo down to like 2 or something. I'm not really sure, but right now, it's comfortable. This deck does okay. It does kind of just get beaten out by some of the other big decks like Rune. Rune is still pretty dominant, but we're going to get right into it and check it out. And kicking us off, our first match against Rune. Runecraft being probably one of the more dominant decks in the current format as a tier 1 deck. Rune's OTK is still just really strong. It didn't even really need much added to it to make it really strong, as you've probably seen from my previous Rune video. So we start off pretty slow here, not a lot going on. I just kind of throw an Ivy to board. Didn't really need to, but hey, we did bait out a Stormy Blast, so I'm not too disappointed. We are going to be able to play double ramp here. So we can go ramp, next turn we can go ramp, and then we can easily go for the gold note as well, which should allow us to heavily ramp for our turn, putting us well ahead of our opponent. They actually end up just passing 3 turns, basically, not having really anything to play, which is actually kind of insane, but when you're not giving them anything to target or anything to hit, I guess they don't have too many options early. Doesn't really surprise me, and we do see the Anangrera come down this time, though. Honestly, if it was me, I probably would have played it last turn with the play point, but hey, I'll take them just passing while we ramp for free. Especially since we're already at 9 play points. So we get a really nice cleanup here. It's not really an issue at all. We can just trade into it. Having triple Odin in hand, though, is a little much, honestly. Kind of just annoying. I've seen a lot more people running this Onion generator card, and I haven't been tempted to try it out. Maybe that'll be something we do when we do a more refined Rune list, as it does seem pretty okay. So I didn't need to hit that, but I wanted to free up card space for the Twilight Dragon Super Evo effect, since we want to draw more cards here. And we do end up hitting Prismatic Phoenix, which is going to come in pretty handy. It should do a pretty good job. We can play it, we can basically regular Evo it, get rid of the 4-2, and have a pretty nice time. Actually, we might even not need to trade into it, given that we also have Strike that we can use, since we are so far ahead on play points. And now all of our cards are going to be reasonably affordable. The real problem is we need to get some stuff to actually stick. This is the only real problem I have with Ramp Dragon, is getting cards that stick to the board. I have been tempted to at least run a single Cocytus, maybe more. That's definitely something I'm considering adding. This variation that I was messing around with was mostly focused on just, you know, trying to build your board with some big stuff like Neptune, and Cocytus definitely should have been something I was considering more closely. Because an early Cocytus play could really turn around this deck, honestly. The only real problem is you might burn through too many resources too early. So we get a pretty easy Neptune. Neptune Olivia combo, once you halve one of these cards, is really nice too. Lets you do a lot here, while pretty much just developing a really wide board. So as long as we don't get OTK'd, we're actually pretty fine. The OTK was really the only threat. Although the Sacred Teachings isn't great. Not when you see them Stormy Blast and ram things down. So we're still at a pretty big risk here. So I really just need to get myself out of range of potential lethals. So I try and get as much healing as I can while developing our board. We get our free Evo card for 2 since we do have our halving. And we just try and go wide without having to use any more Evo points. We got pretty lucky, honestly. Rune could have screwed us over really bad here. But it looks like they had to use a lot of resources to deal with our previous few boards, and they just kind of were burning out of steam. Which is fine. They're still doing a pretty decent job though, and we're still sitting on so many of these Odins that I just haven't really been able to use. So I decided to increase the cost on their cards this turn, because that if they are going to go for a Kaitis or something, this should lock them out from being able to do it. And now we can just play a bit more aggressively, since we are just aiming to win next turn. Unfortunately, that ends up being enough. It ends up getting conceded. Probably did have a Kaitis or something they wanted to play, and ended up just getting locked out. Alright, next up, Abysscraft, another pretty high-end deck. Aggro Abyss is basically tier 1, and the Mid Abyss is probably closer to a tier 2 in the current listings of meta decks. Aggro Abyss is just quite oppressive early. It's one of the fastest decks for damage, but it also can fall flat fairly quickly, as you've probably seen based on my previous Aggro Abyss video. Although I think I want to go a bit stickier with that deck in the future, so we'll see. There's definitely a lot of room for refinement on some of these decks. And we will hopefully work towards some more budget-orientated decks in the future, but budget-orientated decks with how strong legendaries are in Shadowverse Worlds Beyond are pretty hard to pull off effectively, you know? Like, if you're not running anywhere between 6 and 9 legendaries a lot of the time, it's really hard to win games, since their legendaries are just that powerful a lot of the time. So I was looking to full clear this. Unfortunately, the only really good way to do it would be with an Evo, which kind of sucks. But we're pretty much set up to go Neptune next turn, so I'm not too disheartened by that. And we just kind of have to stay out of range of lethal while they try to aggro. Luckily, they didn't really do a very hard early game for us, which is good. Made them a little slow and let us get some really nice damage in ourselves. I've been seeing more of this Oculate Hunter one as well. Not a card I typically run myself, but it has got a pretty nice stat line. So we can easily drop Phoenix now, which also is nice because Twilight with Evo should get us a really nice draw in the following turn. And this should really be more than enough to put some pressure on them. Also, Phoenix's art is beautiful. I would actually love to get the exchange ticket for Phoenix. So I go for the Evo bat, looking to heal a little bit. Not really a big surprise there. It's pretty standard blood play. Definitely looks to be more mid-range than aggro, honestly. Some of the cards they were playing. So our Twilight Dragon going to draw us 3. Some really low-cost cards now, which is great. Medusa, not a great thing to have to deal with here, but Medusa's fine. We'll find a way around it. We have plenty of options with this Dark Angel and this Neptune. I actually really love the Dark Angel Neptune plays usually. Which is honestly what I probably should have just went for, thinking about it. But I decided to go a different way to win this. Like, I really should have just went for the Neptune, but I guess I would have missed out on some healing that I kind of might need later. So we have a really wide board now that has to be dealt with. Fortunately for them, they have the card to do it. This blood card is really oppressive. Definitely more mid-range blood. When you see Twin Calamities. Twin Calamities is just very strong removal. It's a 4-card removal, basically. Fortunately for us, though, drawing a top deck Odin there means I don't have to really think about it. I can just go Odin and attack face. Set up Neptune. And we might even throw an Orca. Why not, hey? Pretty well established at this point. Not really looking at anything too crazy. Neptune should do the job pretty well. Unfortunately, we get hit with the same legendary again that I have to deal with. Thank God for Twilight Dragon though. So now we've seen 2 Twin Calamities. And I have the option to make their hand cost more, which is good. This game was definitely way closer. As far as like, the turns just kept dragging on. We were both getting lower and lower on cards. It was pretty much going to be whoever run out of steam first.
This is not the end.
Now, I don't really have a lot to go on here, but we can at least halve our cards again. Should get us a pretty nice bonus here. We do actually have some draw cards. Looking at my hand, it doesn't look like we have a whole lot, but we do have a handful of draw, which is okay.
Use me as you see fit.
Reaper's Death, pretty nice removal from them. Not really seeing too much else though.
You may approach.
We can heal, we can draw. We're going to be burning cards now though, since we are pretty low on what we have. Like I said, we have a lot of draw, but not a lot else. So we're kind of just hoping some of this will stick. Because if it won't stick, we're kind of in trouble. Rage of Serpents. Along with another one of these departed guys. Actually kind of annoying. 8 cards remaining and not a lot of hope. But they've only got 3 cards remaining, so... It really is a fight for the final fight here. Like, one team is going to win, one team is going to lose, basically. And there it is. Yaru is one of the few cards I've been looking for. We have 3 of these in our deck, and they're all in the bottom. Fortunately, now it should be really hard to remove with so few cards.
Of course.
So what are we going to see from our opponent? The Twin Calamities, yep. The perfect removal for this board. Fortunately, it's not too big a deal. It's just kind of annoying. I am now putting myself at massive risk, though. But I want to commit this extra Gyaru since I knew they were in our deck. And we can now clear this while going face for 5. We really are in a really bad spot, though. They end up drawing even more cards. They have 17 remaining, unfortunately, while we only have 2. There's only 4 cards in their hand. Lucky for us, though, we do draw the Odin, which I believe gives us lethal at 18 damage. Pretty nicely. Very risky, though. Not a great spot to be when you only have like 2 cards in deck. And our final matchup here is against Forestcraft. Forestcraft is an interesting one. Usually it's not too much trouble. You just need a couple of okay early removal cards so you can get there. Unfortunately, we don't end up finding too much going on here. We have at least Dragon Sign. We do have the 2-drop, which is okay. Strike ain't great. End up with a second 2-drop, so that's alright. Firestorm Duo. Being able to play one of them here is alright. Looks like this is basically just Fairy Forest. I do want to test out a Fairy Forest. I don't know if it's that strong, though. But I do like the idea. I like the concept of just Fairy spam. Especially as an early deck. So we got lucky. Double ramp here is actually pretty good. We should be able to take advantage of double ramp quite nicely. And then we can just use strike to kind of, you know, make sure these 1/1s don't recur more. We're looking at probably an Olivia. Well, maybe not an Olivia play next turn. We got some options. Put it that way. We do have to now deal with this 3/3 though. While taking as much damage as possible, apparently. Alright, that's not too bad, actually. That plus Evo does give us full clear. Not that I really think about it too hard, but, you know, we get a clear. End up using the 4/4 to attack as well. That way the Bane stays nice and healthy. And then we can actually just Gyaru next turn, which should be basically game nearly. Should be pretty hard to deal with the Gyaru, especially with its stat lines and the amount of cards in their hand remaining. And after we see double May come down, it's not something that should be really easily dealt with. So even without the Evo here, Gyaru is just a real threat. They do end up having the Odin, which isn't a bad option. It is going to cost them their super though. But they do get a lot of damage off it, so I mean, well played, I guess. We are going to at least heal though with the Olivia. We don't really find anything important here, which is a bit disappointing. But with Olivia Evo, we do double clear. And we are at 8 health now, which does take us out of range of a second Odin. For now.
I need an adult.
And I end up making their hand cost 1 more, so even if they do have the second Odin, they aren't able to play it. Instead they go for Glade here, which with Evo isn't enough to take out board, unfortunately. Although, it will take out one thing, which is nowhere near enough to live.
I was foolish.
And then they concede during my turn. We had lethal on board pretty easily there. So overall, I didn't find Ramp Dragon to be particularly special. Ramp Dragon is pretty solid still. I feel like it's an okay choice if you have the cards to do it, although it is very expensive since it is pretty legendary heavy, as Ramp Dragon typically is. Unfortunately, there's the reason they call it Wallet Craft for a reason. It's fun. I enjoyed it. I think I'll probably end up playing more of it. Whether it's consistently good or not, it's up in the air, honestly. I think it gets out aggroed too early by really serious aggro abysses, and it gets a late game outplayed by like mid-range decks pretty badly too if you're not lucky. So hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. You'll find that in the description below. Be sure to like button and subscribe for more content, and until next time, I'll see you then.